Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin, or Hobbit's Reading This, and we are going to figure out what I will be reading in January. It's a whole new year, and I'm not gonna say like new year, new me, except for just now, but I am approaching my reading a little differently now that I am done with school. I have my second bachelor's degree, which means that I should be able to read a lot more this year. And January is where we start, so let's get into it. If this is your first TBR video for me, I play a game called TBR Pursuit, which is using the Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit board. There we go. Each color represents a different genre on my physical shelves, with the bigger spot at the end of the spoke here representing Miscellaneous that accounts for all the other genres. Now, the 6 most popular genres on my shelves are classic, romance, LGBT, psychology, Jewish, and fantasy. I also do have the, what are they? The purple roll again spots that adds a book to my TBR. Typically, I do 7 rolls, but if I land on that, it will add more. And I think that's it. I think that's all the rules. Yeah. So I'm excited because, as I said, I'm approaching my reading a little differently now that I can just read. And I have a lot of books. I think the amount on my physical shelves I haven't read is like 260 or something. Now, I'm not going to read that much this year. But I think my reading goal for this year is going to be 120. And that is definitely more than 7 books a month. We'll just see what happens. But I have no theme for January. Like, typically I try to be like seasonal or like topical, I guess. Like if there's like a particular holiday or, you know, what have you, I try to read books around that, but I don't have any of that this month. It's kind of a free-for-all, so let's leave it up to the game. So I'm gonna get set up and we're gonna see what I'll be reading in January. Okay, so the first roll is a little bit of a gimme. I don't necessarily know what direction I want to go in. Alright. A 3. So I'm just going to go for LGBT, which will put us over here. An LGBT 5-star prediction. I already have a book in mind for this. I was already planning on reading this, so I'm thrilled that I was able to get it in my TBR because I don't know if I will necessarily finish it before the end of the year of 2025 because I realize this is coming up on 2026. But I picked Game Changer by Reid. This is the first book in the Game Changers series, which is a series that Heated Rivalry is part of. I already read Heated Rivalry a couple years ago, but the new series that came out on Crave and HBO kickstarted a hyperfixation, and now I want to read the whole series. So I recently got it on Kindle, and I do predict it'll be a 5-star. So I'm excited to read that. Game Changer is following Scott Hunter. Cat dropped in my lap. Scott Hunter, who is not an old player, but he is older. He's not a rookie. And he is also closeted because it's not the NHL because it's a fictional hockey organization, but it is the equivalent of the NHL. And even currently there are no out hockey players in the NHL. And so he is closeted, but he meets this barista, I guess, the smoothie making person named Kip. And they develop a secret relationship, and it makes Scott decide, if he really wants to stay in the closet or not. So that's what I know about it. But I'm excited to read it and get more into my hyperfixation and read all the other books in the series. Okay. 1. Okay, so let's go for fantasy. Okay, adapted or will be adapted to the screen. So this is a book that is already going to be turned into a TV show or movie. So I picked The Last Wish, which is technically, even though I believe this came out after a couple of the Witcher books had been published, but this is technically first in the series. I don't think it's a prologue, but this is sort of the start of The Witcher. I've had it for a little bit because when The Witcher was on TV, I kept seeing all these things about it, and I was curious, but not enough to watch the show. But I decided that I would give reading it a shot to see what it's like. And so it is following Geralt, who is a witcher. He has magical powers, and he's a great fighter, and he's destroying the monsters that plague the world. But it's sort of grappling with this idea that, like, not everything that looks evil actually is, not everything that is beautiful is good, which is one of my favorite sort of things of, like, beauty does not mean good. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're gonna go and go to a roll again, because I have no other choice. So that means we will roll 8 times. 3. 1, 2. Okay, no. 1, 2, 3. So that's a romance. Go to that one. Of course, this always happens. It's a romance with summer vibes, which, that's fine. This is a Kindle book called Alpha Island, and I'm trying to do this without looking it up again, because to reach my phone I would have to move Reese, and that just seems mean. So Alpha Island, from what I remember, is... I don't know. Let me see if I can grab my phone. Okay, so Alpha Island is about... It's really interesting because it actually flips the typical Omegaverse hierarchy, where alphas used to be, the ones in charge, used to have the more dominant role in society, as like men do in our world, but the uprising happened a few centuries ago, and now alphas are actually at the bottom, and so they're often treated just as studs for procreation, essentially. They don't have any rights or anything, and they may luck out with an Omega who treats them as more than a stud. The alphas who are not mated, sorry, I have fur all over my face, go to this island where a lot of them are essentially for sale. But the main character that we're following is an alpha named Jeree, I believe, and he works at the bar. He doesn't entertain any of the Omegas that visit on vacation, but he meets this Omega, Nell, who is kind of horrified at how alphas are being treated, and they end up getting closer and getting to know one another, and sort of have to grapple with the limitations that society puts on their relationship. So it looks really interesting, but I did select it because it has summer vibes, because it literally has island in the title. So there's that. 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. LGBT. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Psychology. 2, 3, 4, 5. Classic. Alright, let's go ahead and go for classic. Ooh. My highest rated classic. That'll be interesting. Now, this is so hard to do without, like, making him leave. Alright, my highest rated classic. I remember correctly, this had like a 4.38 on Storygraph. Maybe. It was somewhere around there. It was really close to a 4.5. It's The Count of Monte Cristo, which this is like the 4th time that I've gotten this book on my TBR. It's not that I don't want to read it. I do want to read it. But it's so thick. And it's just intimidating. But that's fine. The back doesn't tell me a lot. It's pretty sparse. Essentially, this is a revenge story. And we follow the Count of Monte Cristo, which is a sort of like, from what I can tell, a self-appointed title, as he goes to enact revenge on the person who slighted him. So, 2, that's fantasy, or roll again. So let's go fantasy. Don't necessarily need to add more books to my TBR. A fantasy book with a war or battle feature. And I wrote LOL because if it's a fantasy, that's most of them. I picked War of the Ring, which, war. Essentially, this is sort of the BTS of Lord of the Rings. Specifically, Helm's Deep, and then after Helm's Deep. So it talks a lot about sort of the different stages that certain plot points in Two Towers and Return of the King went through as JRR Tolkien was writing, and it is edited by his son. And I have various books on the history of Middle-earth. I'm missing a few. Well, actually, no, I'm not, because I have the whole collection in a different... I have these books, of which I'm missing a few, but I have the whole collection of the history of Middle-earth in a bigger box set. So this is quite dense, but it will be interesting to read sort of the different iterations of how Tolkien wrote. Okay, so that is either a roll again or miscellaneous. Let's go ahead and go for miscellaneous, just because I don't have any yet. Oh dear, that's gonna take me forever. It's my highest rated book, essentially. It's gonna take me forever to find. Now, this was really interesting because I have very eclectic interests, and if I see a book about one of my interests, I tend to grab it, no matter how not popular it is. So I had like 2 books that had either only a few ratings or just 1 rating that were like 4.5. And then this book has 1 rating and it's a 5-star, which was fascinating. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to keep going because this is a 5-star. So I'll be reading the Illustrated Encyclopedia of Sex. And if you think that this looks old, that is because it is. It's copyrighted in 1950, yeah. And the revised editions were 1965, 1967. I'm assuming that's what this is, 1955 or 1967. So it's quite old. I got it for $3, apparently. But, oh, I'm not going to show that. But it is illustrated. So yeah, I have some dense books so far. Okay. 2, so it's roll again, roll again, or a classic. Typically I don't like going back into the spoke, but I don't necessarily want to add another book just because I'm already at 8, so I will go for classic. It's a classic hardback. That'll be interesting. I didn't have that many options. Most of my books are paperback. And I had just said that, like, I had some dense books, right? Well, I have another one. Now, technically, this is a deal, because this is 3 in 1. This is the great novels of D.H. Lawrence, which includes The Rainbow and Lady Chatterley's Lover. Now, I don't know anything about either of them. And the book does not tell me anything about them. What I do know... Oh, that's fun. They don't put the complete page total. That's funny. It doesn't, like... The font isn't that small. So... Okay, so I think it's only 2 books. On Storygraph it says 3, but I think this is only 2. But, yeah. I don't know what either of them are about, so sorry. But if and when I read it, I will let you know. Okay, for what is likely the last roll. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, not the last roll. For the hopefully penultimate roll. 3, 2, 3. It's roll again. 1, 2, or fantasy. So we're gonna go ahead and go for fantasy. This is it. Wow. The Fates want me to read some good books. My highest rated fantasy. I jumped on a bandwagon. Dungeon Crawler Carl. That is a tongue twister for me, and I don't know why. Essentially, I believe the world is, like, invaded by aliens. Yep. And then makes all the, like, remaining survivors compete on, like, this game show in dungeons. So it's sort of Hunger Games-esque a little, but this is hugely popular. So many people that I follow online have been reading it and have really loved it. I've had even people that aren't online, like people in my real life who aren't like huge readers, read it and love it. So I went ahead and got it. So we will see. And now for hopefully the last roll. A 2, which is another fantasy or a classic. Let's go fantasy again. Ooh, a fantasy by a BIPOC author. Okay. I have The Fall That Saved Us, and I got this when I went to a book reading for a different author, and Tamara, Jeree, I believe is how you pronounce her name, was the moderator. And so I got her book as well, and it is following a half angel, I believe, whose family legacy is to hunt demons, but she doesn't necessarily want to do that. And so she just like hides that part of herself until a succubus comes to try to claim her soul, and while that doesn't go to plan, they end up getting closer. So it seems really interesting. I don't remember a lot about it from that talk, but you know, seems really interesting. I don't read that many books about like half angels or demons or stuff, so you were on my lap for so long. You're acting like you don't get any attention. And then the final book is a Woodhouse book. It is Euchridge. I don't know anything about the story, but I have met Euchridge once. I don't know how I feel about him. part of me is like, oh, he's dumb or manipulative, and so I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but it's also been over a year since I've read the book that he was in. So we'll see. Somehow this TBR really blew up. I technically have 11 books on my TBR, so yay! So leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I upload a video, so that you can see my thoughts about the books in like mostly real time. But I'm gonna go because I have a lot to read, so bye!